Guys, it's Tarkin coming at you with another game of hardcore Minecraft. Today, on an exciting and auspicious day, the rain falls. The day is 599. That means tomorrow will be day 600. That's right. That's the sort of insightful commentary you can look forward to from me. But, accordingly, we must prepare for the party. You know, it won't be much. It'll be like every other day, but very slightly different. So first, you know, cake, right? Very important. We probably need, what, like eggs? There's berries on top of the cake, but you don't need them to make the cake. It's a mystery to everybody why that's the case. But I should have eggs, like, absolutely everywhere. I might have all the ingredients here. Maybe. No, all the sugar's already been displaced. We'll get it together. It won't be too hard. We've got everything we need. I don't remember how to make a cake. We're gonna ask this. It's like a lot of different stuff, right? It's only one egg. Got it. 3 milk buckets. That's right. I definitely have some buckets somewhere. I'm just gonna make some new ones. You can never have enough buckets. Everybody knows that. The sweet berries are coming in really nicely. They're both nice looking and a nice natural barrier. Oh yeah, I actually kind of love them. We should plant a whole bunch of sweet berries. That dude was onto something. Yeah, they look great from far away, you know. Slightly visually distinct. Just what you want in a decorative protective surface. Alright, we've got plenty of time, but there's no reason to be wasting it. First, some sugars. There's definitely wheat in some box, but you know, when your whole identity is sort of structured around planting wheat, how do you resist? A pork chop for Hank. And we need to milk some cows, yes. Which is as easy as pointing at a cow over the fence with a bucket in your hand. And now the cake. The cherry or sweet berry or whatever on top is gratis. You know, they don't describe how you're getting that. But as we make the cake, the rain is done. And everything's looking up. And, you know, because I'm a very low production guy, now that we have the cake, that's all we have to worry about, you know? We can just have a little time. I mean, because we're gonna have to tour around everywhere. Once the day rolls over anyway. Uh, 599 days. Interesting times. It wouldn't be quite accurate to say I never thought I would get here. I didn't know I was gonna get nearly as into this game as I did, right? But it's been a good year. You know, there's a lot of different ways to tell time. And one of them is, you know, by the game that I'm playing in whatever year. That's my favorite way to tell time. It's usually not assigned to any sort of negative emotions. Hey, Sid. I'm doing well. I hope you are well. Yeah, I can't believe we got to 600 days. Oh, dude. I know, right? I mean, Back, back when I started, I couldn't get to day number 2. Not regularly. And now look, you know, this weird tower that we built for a raid and then just left here. It, you know, it's very me, I guess. But this last 100 days from 500 to 600 has been very quick. But there's like a whole bunch of stuff that I was feeling engaged with, so you know, it makes it easy. Exactly, yeah, an artifact of the past. That raid didn't end up working. It like it bugged out and disappeared. I got really mad about it. Not really mad. I did like get like, you know, upset though. Like I was extremely annoyed at the game. I didn't like freak out. I didn't do what everybody thinks I'm gonna do. You know, we finally made the house bigger, and of course we got all of our ghasts. But you know, we're gonna do the inventory of everything here with the celebration of the day, no doubt. But except making the cake, what else will I do? I mean, nothing really. Like drive around at everything and talk about what we have and what we've done, and then it's just going to be going right back to what we normally do, which is whatever. Probably working on the trail ruin excavation. Good old Garuda. Oh, Sid. Yeah. I'll introduce you to the one who's in the family. There's a whole thing which I'm going to talk about in just a couple of minutes with the guests. But yeah, we as you see, we have some. There's actually rather more, and there's a whole elaborate plan I have going on there. But this one here, this is the first of the ghasts that came to us. And yes, so this is Cornelius. This is Cornelius Vandergast. I named him myself. And he's wonderful. He's just the cutest and most adorable dude. He's incredibly brave, and he's like a full member of the family now. These other ones, so we're doing a big thing. Anyway, we're gonna talk about it really soon. But yeah, the update came out, just the other day, a week ago, maybe 2. But no, I got netherite armor. I finally, like, got up and did it, right? We expanded the house. Say I should make a sign to show I made it this far. Yeah, I've got a row of cake, but there's no, I only started it on day 400. There's no, like, sign. We could definitely do a sign that, you know, like, says what the cakes represent. It's not super clear, you know, just on witnessing the cake, if it is telling any sort of truth. Cake can be very deceptive. This has been documented in games before. But, you know, we can make day 600 happen whenever, but we're just gonna chill here for a second and you know, watch the moon rise. We made the house a lot better. So we you know, we decorated it. You know, we got bookshelves. and, you know, a painting of a fiery skull, and then a painting of a skull that isn't on fire. And we found our Marcus Aurelius painting again. You know, it's still very me, and a bunch of wool to bounce around on, you know, for the cats. Oh, and we found a Tropa again. She finally showed up. You might have known about that. It was about 100 days ago, but that all happened, so that's cool. In addition to all the Ghasts. And we got Hank again. He's down there. You can't really see him because of how rendering works, right? With entities, but he's like right there in the middle. Even if I had put him there, he wouldn't be accessible, so. But yeah, you know, you can just sort of look at the rising moon, and yeah. Some zombies spawn. Are they going to run into the berry bushes? Is it gonna work? Sometimes I don't know if the things I do are gonna be functional, but I do them anyway. So I was like, well, you know, at the very least, it'll keep them from walking up against the fence. And if the berry bushes do damage them, then that could be important information. I did realize you can pick berries off of the bushes without bashing them with a sword, which, you know, that was good. I figured that out just the other day. It's too dark inside here. That's not ideal. Why not a bunch of unesthetic torches? Well, you say it's super aesthetic just. Well, thank you. I like my villainous layer, right? I think, you know, it's just what I like anyway. And, you know, we've got like we did the outside of the vault a little better, you know, with like some gilded blackstone and stuff. But it's, you know, we did a bunch of different stuff, so it's sort of distracted from a ton of progress in any one regard. Although that's not strictly speaking true. I mean, getting my armor done was good. And I got like a lot of ghasts. But here we are. I'm like, no, we don't sleep for it. We should be waiting for the sunrise. That is much superior. Yeah, what was I thinking? Everything looks so reasonable from up here. I feel like I should start planting wheat somewhere. Do we still have the one seed that we found? It's funny. You don't realize how much you've done till you kind of take a look around at it. We'll fight some stuff for a bit. That's good. After all, don't you sometimes fight in Minecraft? I mean, if you could call it fighting, we just stay winning. But it's an interesting demonstration of what becomes possible through trial and error, and you know, the sum of human knowledge being filtered down. 'Cause maybe I could have been way better at Minecraft way sooner if I had, like, you know, read an essay on how to play it. But this way was good too, with people helping me along the way, and then trying to figure out stuff for myself. And now look at me, you know. Now we are killing an average amount of zombies and developing a wonderful hunger that only delicious 100-day cake will satisfy. Look at all of our sunflowers. We really don't want to be knocking any holes in this field beyond what we've already done from our bad combat. But due to some absolutely stellar third-person archery, in which I made, like, every shot until I said those words, the sun rises. And you know what that means. It's a party. Congratulations to me. Day 599 is what's written down. But you know, if you fly in the direction of the sun, before long, the big day happens. Right? No. I misjudged the time. Day 600! Hooray. Truly a wonderful time. And there we go. It wasn't so long ago that we spawned right where this cherry tree wasn't. Looking out at this ocean, right where that artificial mini Badlands wasn't, and turned around to that mountain where all of those cherry trees were. Perhaps the most beautiful Minecraft world that I've ever been in. And it's all mine. This is the cake of 400, and this is the cake of 500, and now, in line with them, we will place a cake of 600 and eat some bites of the previous cakes. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look around. Here we have the most important geographical fixture possible, Spawn Mountain. It's very nice. It has cherry trees that spawn naturally all around it. There are mountain goats on it. We'll get back to that later. They're very important. We built this river not so long ago, you know. And of course we've got we've got our waterfall and our lake that we built, which are pretty nice. You know, they're pretty cool. But my current obsession is the Ghasts. So this, of course, is Cornelius Vandergast, who's a very very important member. Why is the music stopped? It was just a very quiet part. But he's the only one that's like a proper member of the family. But we have lots of other Ghasts here, and I'm going to introduce you to them. Oops, you say, is this the world with the giant wheat farm? No, it is not. Oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah, the person we met in the Skyrim thing. Yeah, for sure. But no, that's my peaceful world. This is my hardcore world, where we have just achieved day 600. So here, we have more Ghasts. One of these is Gaston. We didn't give him a color of a harness yet, because we didn't figure out what made the most sense. This is Agastus. And then there's also, over here, is a Batgastmobile de Fledermaus. He's the Batgast. You know, we're gonna build a bat cave for him. They're just temporarily milling about up here. This is gonna be like Agastus's place because of the flowers and stuff. But anyway, so the plight of these Ghasts being abandoned in the Nether touched me deeply, right? And so, and there's also Gaspar the friendly ghost, and hello Renee, hi. Gaston, yeah, Red. I was thinking that, you know, for the shirt and stuff. This is the Alpengast, or the Mountain Ghast. We're gonna make a little miniature mountain ghost thing for him to have. So anyway, the Council of Ghasts. I was touched deeply by the plight of the Ghast, and I thought we needed to retrieve, you know, the principal 16 color representatives of the Ghast, one for all the colors of the dyed harnesses. Hi, Melissa, welcome. And we also, of course, need wonderful names. Batgastmobile, that was Natasha's contribution, and very good it was. Somebody had the Casper idea, and I was like, Gaspar, the friendly Ghast. And then over here, this is Gorman, Gorman Ghast. He's just named Gorman, but, you know, Gorman Ghast, which is a lovely series of fantasy novels by Mervyn Peake. Well, it was 3. He didn't finish the 3rd one, but anyway. But here's Gorman. So we're this is the Valley of the Council of Ghasts. It happens to be where we fought the Wither, right? Long ago, which is where all of this interesting holes in the ground came from. But we're so they're gonna have different areas that we terraform to suit their particular, you know, personality or whatever. Like for Gorman, we're going to build a little miniature Gorman Ghast themed thing. For Dialpengast, you know, a little mountain goats thing. Agastus is going to have a throne. I'm probably going to make all of them have thrones with like water over them, you know, to symbolize like how they've gotten out of it. But for Gaston, we'll probably build like some Beauty and the Beast themed thing at the very least, or maybe just like, you know, a throne for him with very large antlers on top of it, on account of how, you know, we'll just bring the bone sculptures in. Hello, Minikman, on account of how he uses antlers in all of his decorating, which is, you know, a thing that we all know and love about him. Well, you know, love. I don't know if we love Gaston, but Gaston the Ghast we do love, and, you know, we will imbue him with all of the powerful symbolism of his namesake, with none of the contemptible behaviors thereof. You know, it'll be the redemption of Gaston. Yeah, but yeah, so we were working on this, just a little terraforming of that, and then because I figured, hey, these are really pretty, and yeah, but it's ideally going to be like quite a large-scale project, and the idea will be that they're the Council of the Ghasts, and they all have, you know, little recreations of their favored color things, like little minor squabbling Greek gods, and yeah, no one flies like Gaston. And we're gonna terraform basically this whole central area here away from how it is now to sort of like, I don't know, like sort of like a wheel thing maybe that's just sort of like has the ghasts, and then we're gonna build the various stuff that works for them. And that's what I've been doing the last 100 days, is just thinking about that. And going into the Nether and rescuing them, and we did just a tiny bit of stuff over here in the Lush Cave. But we're probably going to do the Bat Cave, like, right in here, but it may be logical enough to do it right here, underneath Augustus's little palace. Because it goes, like, all the way down to a deep dark there. So that could be fun, you know. Because alternately, we would need to just, like, put them over into this area. The Bat Cave? Yeah, we're making a Bat Cave for the Bat Gasmobile. Because I'm a hero, right? You know, like, I fly in the night and I burn down the pillager towers, and then, you know, I'm the hero the village needs. Oops, you said you don't think you've been here since December? Oh, yeah, well, I've been uploading lots of videos, but I didn't, I stopped doing Skyrim because Oblivion Remastered came out, and then I did, you know, I played, probably like 40 or 50 hours of that on stream, and then, you know, and then I got very engaged in Minecraft again, and, because I built my big, long, river, but anyway, and then sort of like, the geography of the meadows sort of inspired me to the Ghast gathering anyway, you know, because you have these segments where it's like all red and all purple, you know, and you have the pink of the cherry trees and so on. But I figured we could run with it pretty far. But I knew I had come up with Cornelius Vandergast's name before the update even happened. When I saw the picture in the launcher of like the information about the update of him with his adorable little goggles on, I was like, that is Cornelius Vandergast. I have come up with this name. That is his name, and it's gonna be the best name. And I was right. Look at him. Just look at him there. But as soon as Cornelius came out of the water and got tall, and we put the harness on him, there was a pillager raid down right here, and then we just flew above it and dispatched them quite handily from the air. So, you know, he made his bones immediately in view of the crime family, and Garuda was pleased to induct him in, which I never had any doubt that he would be here with us. But, you know, so he's going to be in the council. He's the Cyan representative, but he's going to live over here rather than with the council. Like, some of the council members will live, like, slightly away, like the Alpengast. No, he'll just be over there. We're not going to have him live by Spawn Mountain. A seed for Garuda. After all, it just wouldn't be Minecraft without Garuda. Come on, boss. Come on downstairs. Let's look out the window. The family's all here. We gotta go say hello to a couple of the other members really quick. But I wanted to give Garuda his seed really, really fast. You know, that's the sort of thing that he can take exception to. Am I out of rockets? Surely not. You know him. You love him. It's Doug. Doug is a tremendous asset to us all. Doug is the best Doug. Who's a good Doug? Doug is. He has provided us with all of our beautiful pitcher plants and torch flowers, but more than that, he is very wise. You can just stand over the fence and ask him any question at all, and he will instantly tell you the right answer. We got, of course, Mooshy Smalls and Baby Moosh. Here's some wheat for Mooshy Smalls. You know, they are the songwriting, rapping duo. We once built a canal, thousands of miles, thousands of meters, to get them here to the family. They are beloved members of the family and quite essential to our feelings. There's nothing at all like the Mooshes. The world wasn't complete without them. Got old Hank the cow dog. He prefers to be down here watching over the cow dogs. Watching over the cows. He's a good cow dog. If there's anything to investigate, you know, he's going to be the first one there. I think Raphael and Michelangelo are hanging out over here now. Yeah. And of course, we've sort of mislaid Donatello and Leonardo, but that's not like... Yeah, what are you going to do? You know, I knew I wasn't gonna die, but I still almost like can't believe I made it. Hi, HyderVR. Yes, indeed. Day 600. Isn't it something? HyderVR, you say build a functioning calculator. No, not me. That's Melissa in the chat. You can go to them. You wanna calculate her. That's not me. I need to figure out how to use a a bookshelf to create a secret door. That's what I want to figure out. You leave the calculators to the others. Luca. Belladonna Consigliere. We found a Tropa again. It took me 500 days to find a proper void cat, but we found her. Just walking around the village one day. And good old Calcite, who's happy to sit around in the corner. He's a good old dog. Oops, you say you don't know why, but you hate the random tall grass a lot. Well, you know, it sometimes it can be annoying, but I don't mind. I often find myself wanting more of it after I've knocked down a bunch of grass. But of course, if you have a bunch of bone meal, you can make all that happen. Super Dean, you wanted me to figure out what a kilometer is. You know, we didn't really work with those in chemistry classes, so it's just like how I know what a milliliter is, but I don't know what a liter is. You know, I know what a gram is, but I don't know what 10 kilograms are. Like if I didn't have to do it in science lab, I don't have a metric knowledge for it. I can clumsily convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, but I don't. But I do convert all of my recipes when I am baking to metric measurements. So, like, if it's like 2 3/4 cups of flour, I'm like, all right, 270 grams, that's what we're getting. 270 grams of white flour. And I write over to the side, you know, for all of them. And then if someone asks me for a recipe, I'm like, look, by the way, I don't measure them with cups like an animal. I have a scale like a gentleman. but I love Spawn Mountain so much. It's apparently more dangerous right now than it normally is. Because not only is it ringed with cherry trees, and not only does it overlook everything good and beautiful about the world, but it's got mountain goats on it. Oh, zombies are terrible at running around on ice. I should have known. And we see the mountain goats up there peacefully walking around. Peacefully. Just absolutely schwammering. What? I didn't know they jumped that high. Just absolutely schwammering that creeper. It's like, never should have come here. Bow. And you might be asking, what's the best Mountain Goat song? Well, there are many schools of thought. The one I've been thinking about a lot lately is, it's called Source Decay. It's on All Hail West Texas, their 2004 masterpiece. That was sort of like the sister album with Tallahassee, only it was all like lo-fi acoustic still. And it's the narrator trying to wrestle with the way that he feels about the past and how useless a lot of that seems to him. And it's got this line in it that I really like. It goes, and I'll tell you what I know, like I swore I always would. I don't think it's gonna do you any good. And then it goes into the chorus again. But there you have it. Day 601 dawns. The spider is trying to eat my delicious cakes, which is unacceptable. Fire burns our foes. And I once again prove that I can't be trusted with anything. But there you go. Day 601. So I guess it's time to go on an adventure. No, it's time to go and mend up the elytra. And then we're going to go commit some archaeology. Well, oops, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you hanging out for the party. We're probably going to play a little bit longer than jump to some other game tonight. But it's nice to see you around. And no, I do not have a Nether Ice Highway yet. I barely ever go to the Nether at all. Sorry, I barely... It's like there's a bunch of chat. I barely read it at all for a bit. I was thinking about my feelings about things. Yeah, there we go. So, the next 100-day plan. We're working on this trail ruin excavation, which looks awesome. And then, oh yeah, we should name one of the ghasts, because I came up with a name the other day, and it was, like, awesome, and so we should name it. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? It's ridiculous. How many entities do we have? 500. It's probably not enough to mend. Do we have carrots? We don't. Let's get some. The good thing about carrots is with Fortune 3, just a couple of rows like this gets you like a net of, oh, like 200 or something. It's just so many carrots that you get. Bye, Super Dean. Oh no, the torch flower. You say it's almost your birthday and you got your subs? Well, that must be very awesome. Good job. Not everybody can almost have a birthday. Most people just have an unbirthday every day. Although you can still have a very merry unbirthday. But congrats on your channel growth. And here we'll force the experience share between the pickaxe and the elytra, so, you know, maybe it'll be fine. I don't actually know how much experience you get from doing this kind of thing, you know. I'm more of a feed the pigs and work it out later type of thing. I feel so proud of me. Not for the pigs, but for, you know, for living so long. I mean, I play it really safe. I've popped 3 totems in this world now. I popped one just like probably like 30 in-game days ago. It was safe. Like I knew what was happening when it happened. It wasn't that safe. It just like I was in no danger of actually dying because I knew that the totem was there. But there was an Enderman situation in the Nether at a warped forest, and there was a couple more of them than I knew existed. And that almost led to, well, it did lead to me popping a totem. And it almost led to me not being able to make this video at all. But, you know, we heroically made it all through. Yep, that's all 3 totems that I've popped in this world in the Nether. The first one with little like zombie piglins going through a window that I made in like a little ad hoc prison for myself to fight against the zombie piglin. I'm like, oh, they won't be able to get in, and then they just jump right in the 1 block hole. And then whenever I was looking for Pig Step, we died. Well, we popped a totem in a bastion with some magma cubes down low. It was this whole thing, and then we lost it there. I had the elytra on, which, you know, if I'd been wearing my armor, those Endermen wouldn't have even dinged me. But, you know, I was flying in the Nether, so it was careless anyway. But what are you gonna do? Remember that we were gonna go somewhere. We're just gonna go to the vault real quick and drop off some stuff. Renee, you're saying you remember once you were playing with a friend and you went like deep down and kept dying, couldn't get out with your stuff, and then eventually you did? That's awesome. You lost your diamonds? Oh no. Yeah, I feel like if I ever lost my stuff, it would feel the same to me as if I had lost a whole run. So, you know, hardcore almost makes sense. Like, would I ever want to play this game again? No, I mean, I've lost the last world, the last major world, 334 days in, and I immediately just spooled up another world. I was resistant to despair in that regard, which, good for me. I don't normally have despair resistance, I'm more of a wallow in your bad feelings type of guy. Not very productive, but certainly the strategy seems too strong of a word. The strategy is appealing. But that does remind me, speaking of, we need to make a pool up on top of the mountain for the gas real quick. You say furthest you've gotten in survival is getting the pearls? Yeah, I've only tried to beat the game in easy one time, and I quit when I died in the nether. I was like, I'm so bad at this, I don't care. I've only beat the game in this world. This is the only time I've ever cracked the Ender Dragon. I haven't even done it in my survival world. The first time I fought the Ender Dragon, well, that's why the last world was day 334. I really should learn how to make a video. Because I think people might laugh at, like, that. Yes, Geo, day 600. It's really day 601 now. But indeed, a great celebration indeed. We're about to go and hang out with some of the accomplishments of the last days. We just need to make a nice little, like, pool of water up here. Which was always part of the plan, and then we'll also get, some of these flowers, and we will, reposition them. Alright. Now it's time to show how proficient I am at this kind of thing. Alright, so we're just gonna make a pool of basically this level. Yeah, seems fine. And we'll just want some dirt to get started. Gotta have a little bit of dirt to get started. And then, of course, all you gotta do is get your kelp going on. So the thing about kelp is it's the best block in the whole game. There's no block in the world as cool as kelp. Kelp does it all. Kelp in the morning, kelp at night, and that is how you can build a lake without knowing what you're doing at all. We'll want to get some more going on the other side. But once it starts going, it's almost like comical how much it'll just push through everything. And all you have to do is give it a little bit of space to go. You say Bedrock's so much more challenging, you haven't beat it there. I have heard people say that it is harder. I bet it is. Look, if I couldn't hit my F3 screen, I don't know if I would want to play Minecraft anymore. That's why I swapped over. I used to get lost all the time, and now I don't. The Java skeleton is bad versus the Bedrock ones? Ah, I see. I bet I could not beat the game in Bedrock just as much as I can not beat it in Java. Because, like, I only beat the game this time because, you know, I thought I could die, and, you know, I wanted to do a good job. Yes, a nice peaceful sleep in some water. There are images of like fishermen and like living out on like little like sort of like floating shacks, I guess, where there's like water like physically beside their bed, and they just have like stuff in their bed with them. So if like I guess if they roll over, it'll make a splash. I don't know if they're real or not, but I saw them ages ago before there was so much fake stuff on the internet. It makes me feel like it's a real thing. We should have brought more kelp, which is a sentence you only say once. Because really, it's pretty easy to get all the kelp you need. Anywhere you want it. But by trimming away a nice little layer here, we'll get a lower one. Which, you know, you get the indentation for your initial one, but then going down a level is always easier. Because then when you get your kelp going on, you've already got, like, a basis for getting every single one down. Because sometimes, depending on the flow, if it's just, like, on that level, like one of the 5, and it's not going to go down any further because it's not traveling anymore, then you can't get a kelp there. It's got to have like something in the line of it, I think. But once you have, you know, just any amount of space underneath it that the water's going to flow to, you can get the kelp there. And then of course that creates a water source block, which can be very useful for a number of reasons. We're going to go get some more kelp. And maybe put this chest, you know, put this dirt in a chest somewhere. Maybe a purpose-built dirt chest. No, the F3 screen, the debug screen, where it gives you all of this information that I have there, I don't think that's in Bedrock. If it is, then I was mistaken, but... Because it tells you which direction you're facing, it tells you your coordinates. If you look at a block, it'll tell you, like, camels spawnable on. You know, you can learn that camels exist in the game just by looking at a sand block with F3, and I think that's awesome. You know, sniffer diggable block. It would let you know just by looking at it. You know, goats spawnable on. Be like, alright, I gotta get on these goats. Now I know that they're definitely armadillos. Unless it's armadillo. Nobody knows. Anyway, kelp. me not being funny about armadillos, unless it's armadillos, is a joke as old as me playing Minecraft. I was joking about that, I think the first day. I was killing Minecraft armadillos with a stick. Anyway, my initial Minecraft play left some to be desired. Hey, Liam. Renee, you said you made a dress for a doll you don't play with anymore? Well, you know, making the dress could be, you know, more fun than that. I know plenty of people that, you know, would still want to, you know, design something like that and then, you know, put it on a shelf. Totally, totally reasonable. There's an option to turn on show coordinates, yeah. I got lost, like, all the time whenever I was starting out, and I would get so annoyed. Or at the very least, an average amount annoyed. I would become moderately annoyed. Because, like, I had a compass, but I didn't know, like, where I was. And I would go in the nether and then, like, get so lost and try to get out and then end up, I didn't even know, like, how far away from home, right? And then just, like, trying to do all of it. Anyway, very annoying. We need to get the elytra off. It's making me swim like a dork. So you used to design dresses, but the sewing never worked out for you? Well, you know, maybe if you return to it at some point, it'll work out more. I know a bunch of people who sew. One of my friends sews. He kept tearing his pants because he kept on bending over all awkward. And so he was like, I guess I gotta learn how to sew because it's too expensive to buy pants. And now, you know, now if he ever bends over awkward and tears his pants, he can just fix them, you know. He's a regular, a regular Renaissance man. And like my mom sews and crochets and stuff. And I know tons of people that do. I don't myself. But like I still have, you know, I got like quilts and blankets that I use, you know, every day, and you know, knitted caps to wear in the wintertime, that kind of thing, scarves. You learned how to crochet stuffed animals, Renee? Well, that's awesome. That must be like a really fulfilling thing for you. I know you like those. That's super cool. I see, like, you know, on the internet sometimes some post will make it up tall on the internet. It'll make it up high on the rankings, and I'll see it, and I'm like, wait, somebody made that? And then, you know, sometimes they didn't, and it's fake, but sometimes they did, and it's very impressive. Oh, we have all the allium. We should be bringing it and planting it around there again. I spent like one whole one whole beginning of the stream one day like managing a whole bunch of the inventory, and then I was like, well, that was exhausting. I never want to do that again. We're just gonna put a little bit more effort into the lake and a little bit more kelp down, and then we're gonna go bounce somewhere else, and it'll grow on its own. At least this is enough, you know, enough water for the ghast to be pleased with it. Because I don't think we want to water this up, right? Because this goes like all the way down into a deep dark kind of thing, you know? Clean. Anyway, so that's probably going to be like the bad ghast cave, right? Because it already looks like it should be, right? Yes, correct. And we'll just dig out, you know, more of the wall. And then inside maybe we'll do like a fun little bat sculpture up high that makes it look like the bat is watching you. Oh, the happy ghasts are wonderful. So they can... you can, like, harness things underneath them and airlift them, so we wouldn't have to even build the Moosh Canal again. You know, we'd, you could just airlift them. Which is awesome. Like, the canal was great, but really what I wanted was the mooshes to return, you know. We need to find a geode. Because the wool is fine, but I'm thinking, you know, we need to find, like, the finest materials that best exemplify the ghasts for their respective, you know, thrones, their seats of symbolic power. Because, so the idea is we'll build, like, maybe not, like, such a big thing, but, you know, like, this large, you know, with like a little bit of armchair sort of thing going on, you know, a little armrest thing, maybe about this size, so it looks like they could sit on it, and then cover it all with water. You know, and then probably have like a little pool around the outside of it so that the water flows down, but not like into the lake, but maybe into the lake. And do that for like all of them, because, you know, for the water, the symbolic nature of it all for the ghasts. But, you know, do like amethyst for Agastus, you know, do like the coolest black block that there is, so probably like a block of coal. What's more Batman than a block of coal, right? You know, that kind of thing. Is this the right level? I mean, ish. Ish. I'm under attack. This is outrageous. Cannot believe it. We're just gonna sleep on a nice bed of kelp. Welcome back, Renee. Yes, brr. You know, these zombies all are like, excuse me, please, I have something to say. And then when you're like, all right, cool, you know, you're right, I've been talking this whole time, and you're right, it's your turn. And then they go, "Mrrr," and you're like, oh, okay, sure, dude, good job. I'm gonna listen the next time you want to speak up, Mr. Zombie. It just goes to show that, like, if you're not prepared for success, it can really surprise you. I think the lack of eloquence in Minecraft Zombies is a testament to that truism. This song always gets me, like, the most amped whenever it comes on. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to build some stuff. What's it called? It is called Alpha. Okay. Well, but when it comes to this part, I'm always like, yeah. I think maybe my most popular opinion that I hold about any subject now is that Minecraft music's really good. Glad I started, you know, glad I, like, found the soundtrack and stuff, because it's wonderful to listen to it while I play. It's so much better than the YouTube audio library, which is good, but, like, you know, if I just play Minecraft for 4 hours a day and listen to, like, all of the songs, then that's a good day. I forgot that we were supposed to go and name another ghast, but we're gonna do that in a second. Once we finish this up. After all, having some kelp going is the ideal, you know, because then you can just... You can build, like, off of the side of kelp, and I think it's 5 blocks that it'll go horizontally before it needs to drop a vertical one again, which is, you know, all you gotta do is build more kelp up, and then... It's not too tricky to get it going. I'm so much better, I say as I put wood blocks down in the middle of my lake. I'm so much better at doing this than I was, you know, before I built my first lake. So if you're thinking, this still is taking forever, yeah, well, it used to take longer. And now, this is what it looks like when I'm good at it. So there. But what you do here is you just sort of, like, chain along this. And the interesting thing about water flowing off of stationary blocks like this, and I think you'll agree that it is the interesting thing about it, is that the water continues that exact laminar flow after the blocks are gone. And then with your water underneath having kelp in it, it will grow into the flowing water, creating a seamless and gorgeous chain of water source blocks as the chorus swells. Aquaforming is the best part of Minecraft. The building of lakes and rivers while you listen to the calm sounds of rushing water. Truly the best thing I've ever done in this game. I don't want to be like, I like it better than planting wheat. I do, though. I just don't want to cover the whole earth in water. That does sound like a great project. But I'll leave that to someone whose heart is in it more than mine. I've never thought, wouldn't it be nice if the whole world was covered in water? Maybe you have. Maybe that can be your story. thing with water is, like, you can make such great progress, you know, because, like, even this is forcing it a little bit. We don't need all of these different sides of the lake to have kelp pushing. You can push the kelp across a whole lake, like, pretty easily. That's just gonna, like, hopefully help us get to a higher level quicker. We're just gonna go chill now. We need to name the new ghast. That's not true. We need to plant this allium around, since we have destroyed a great part of the flowers of the meadow. We will replant them. After all, you can't just go breaking Agastus's lake, you know, making the lake by breaking his flowers. You got to replace them. There we go. Listen, you say you're glad you grew up into Minecraft rather than something like Fortnite. I can definitely see that, you know, because while there are aspects that you can do to make Minecraft competitive, at its heart, it's about, you know, when you're playing alone, it's about your exploration and creativity, and when you're playing with other people, it's about the interaction of you with others. Whereas a game with, you know, defeating your opponent as the principal objective will always be, you know, constrained by that. Although, you know, there's certainly something to be said for the virtues of competition. If you're talking about, like, formative childhood experiences, I think ones that encourage, you know, collaboration are probably better to have, as you've said. Well, plus, like, the permanence and the creativity that Minecraft can give rise to. Though I shouldn't be reductive, I suppose all games can feel that way. It just seems like you would have to find something, like, cool to do, like that. Like, I can't imagine looking at a world someone had in Minecraft if they've been playing for even, you know, like, a little while and thinking, this is boring, right? Like, I feel like, I mean, it won't tell the whole story, but you can tell a lot about a person from their Minecraft world, right? You can certainly tell a fair amount about me from mine. Likes books, hates inventory management. Thought I had name tags. Are they in the ender chest? I thought I had them. Whatever. I'll just bring some of my emeralds. Yeah, everybody's view of nostalgia is different. I certainly recall being, you know, every memory I have of me is when I was younger, but, you know, being a much younger person and looking wistfully back, which I still do. You know, like, I was like 15 and I already had nostalgia for Pokemon Gen 1, right? I was always like, you guys don't know what you're doing. I'm very old. Alright, we just need to run down the best librarian in the world. Where are you? Borges, where are you? Here you are. This is Jorge Luis Borges. He's the best librarian in the world. Anybody needs a name tag or a mending book, you go to him. Named for the real-life author, of course. Not currently alive, and yet immortal through his work. I recommend it. Beyond almost anything, Borges' one of the finest writers of the whole 20th century. And an actual librarian, also, in his spare time, in between writing masterful works of literature that, you know, still influence and inspire. Speaking of the past, we're going to get Archaeologast. We will go hang a name tag on him. So for Archaeologast, we're going to make like a miniature trail ruin. Maybe like a full-size one. No, we're going to make like a trail ruin tower. Maybe like a couple smaller rooms off to the side eventually. And also, like, it's just a really good name, isn't it? I mean, isn't it? I think it is. I don't know what color we should do for him. Brown, maybe? The nice brown of a working ghast. Oh no, a zombie! Get away. Archaeologast is a man of science, not of battle. That reminds me, we need a harness for Gaston as well. Red is going to be the color there. We already have a brown harness made up, so we'll just make another harness real quick. I finally got better house access. I just love my house. It's good. I like my silly emerald blocks that I put places. I like my paintings. I like my not quite excessive, but not quite reasonable amount of bookshelves. It's very me. And I like that too. I feel like if you made somebody look at like 10 random Minecraft worlds of like somebody's house and this one, and they knew me and you made them pick, they would be able to figure out this was my house. It's every bit like every bit expressive of who I am. Oh yeah, the very awesome carpet. You know, I made it myself. I accidentally, so there's a moat up there, right? And I was changing the dirt out for dark oak internally, and the water came down and broke the carpet, so I had to redo it. But you know, it's still good. I love a good vaporwave aesthetic. We need to make another harness, which is, of course, glass, which we don't have because we would have moved it. Right. But before we get the other stuff, it'll appear. So, like, leather, which is all over the place. And red dye, which you can casually get from beetroot. Everybody knows that. And then it's glass and the leather, and I don't remember what the other part is. Wool. The wool. Alright. Now it's time to go hang some harnesses on a couple more members of the council. We should get a white one too for Caspar, the friendly ghost. Not sure where Caspar's at. Alright. Archaeologast. He's got his little brown hat on. He is ready for anything. Now we just need to find Gaston. Where are you at, buddy? Where are you at? It's time for you to wear your little hat. Gaston! No one flies like Gaston. No one's got a set of goggles over his eyes like Gaston. Bye, Renee. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, we're just going to, so you can lure them with snowballs, or accidentally hit them with snowballs, depending on who you are as a person. We're just gonna fly Gaston over, and then he can hang out around Gorman. Should have brought the snowballs to lure them. I guess we could throw a lead on one of them, but you know, it's fine. It doesn't take too long. Do ghasts attack you if you hit them? I don't know. I haven't accidentally hit them at all. They don't if you accidentally hit them with a snowball. But I think they're fully, like, on your side, you know, once they're up here. Enemy mobs don't seem to attack them, although they might be able to hurt them by accident. They've got, like 10 health bars. Whenever you jump on them, they have, like, the mount bars. I've never seen them with any missing hearts. So... no, it's possible that, like, right here, you know, I don't want to... well, Gaston's very brave, you know, he'll work it out. Like, it's possible that he might, you know, get shot by these... yeah, so they definitely can take damage, right? But I don't think they'll shoot them when you're not around. But I don't think that the skeleton was shooting at the ghast, even though I was mounted. I think it was just that, you know, it interpreted me quite rightly as an enemy. We'll just lay down underwater real quick, as one does. Say it times everyone a lot of heartache. Indeed. Alright, so I need to do some stuff out here. You know, we've got our little underwater vault, so that's good. You know, you always want to have a little underwater vault. That way, if anybody comes and picks on you in the middle of your adventures, you can, you know, smash them with a hammer, and they won't be able to mess with your stuff. So we have been doing a bit, so we'll work on this a little bit now. It's all part of the celebration, you know, so when you have, like, little breaks, you get these warped fungus blocks, which are like the leaf blocks from those trees, and I think it is, like, I think it's visually very nice as a contrast with, like, especially with the dirt in between it and the sand, or, like, where they sort of alternate. I think it looks pretty cool, so we're gonna do some of that. And we got plenty of these from trying to trim down our trees somewhat. And these, the only limiting factor for this nether transformation is the block that you build on, right? So this block here, green mycelium, or warped nylium, sorry, not mycelium, that is mycelium, nylium. I got the two words confused in my head. I know what mycelium is. But, so you can't get that block any other way. You just have to silk touch mine it in the nether and bring it out here. But once you bone meal it, you get the mushrooms, these little guys. And then you bone meal these mushrooms on the nylium, and they grow up into these trees. And the same is true of the red trees. So we're doing red nylium on the other side. But, you know, you get a bunch of these blocks, which are the leaves of the trees, and, you know, if they're too dense or whatever, you can trim them down, which is what we got most of this from. But it'll also give, like, the impression that the nether is, you know, like, seeping out and sort of taking over the rest of the area as the council finds their purchase here. You know, sort of like in Terraria, but a non-ominous version of that. The Blight or whatever. I should play Terraria again. I shouldn't say it because I should just either do it or not do it. I just need to get over the inventory, as if that's possible. Gaston and Gorman flying around. We need to clear, like, the whole central thing here. There's a lot of work to do. Let's just cut down some trees. It's a good time to do it. Ha. And we'll, you know, we're not gonna build more oak trees anywhere. We might do dark oak trees because we need to build like a little black forest sort of thing for Gaston's whole thing. You know, I've got a lot of ideas for Gaston's, you know, Ghast Council building. I got a lot of ideas. This was a really cool tree. I almost hate to cut it down, but you know, what are you gonna do? I already started. And by hate to cut it down, I mean it's going to be super hard to cut it down properly on account of how it's built. Yeah, we'll do, you know, a little dark forest thing, and we'll have like probably like a little hunting cabin, and then like a little miniature castle. You know, just go all out on the Beauty and the Beast thing. Build the great library here. I do love me some Beauty and the Beast. Just, you know, sort of the easiest thing to figure out about me just by glancing around. No, looks can be deceiving though. Like, there's some people in my room. They're like, "Wait," because there's like a painting of my wall of a religious figure, and they're like, "I thought you weren't religious." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not. My mother did the painting, and you know, she thought it wasn't good, and I was like, I'm not gonna let you throw it away. I'm gonna put it in my room." But I'm not going to show the stream the painting, but it does exist. It's like, it can take so long to cut down a tree, or just like no time at all. Like that single tree, because even this tall tree here is much more... Have we already... I'm like, no, we've already cut that down. I'm like, there's no way it grew like that. It's just, it's got enough internal wood structure to keep it going. that all of them? You know, these, the complex oak trees, they do tend to, I think that's all of them. I don't think there's one up in there. If there is, we will fly up and bash it later. This is gonna be good, you know. We didn't have quite enough apples. We need to name Cave Horse. You say it one second like that, you just leave it alone. You know, I used to really like them, you know, I would, because they look more like an oak tree, right? But now they just annoy me. I'm like, you know, if you were a dark oak tree, then you would be much more aesthetic. Has anybody ever told you that? I'm like, have you ever considered being in a forest with large mushrooms? Like, because you're a pretty basic oak tree here. And we just want a little more pop, a little more zing, a little more pizzazz. You know, a little more. Just a little bit more. That... I'm gonna make myself sad just thinking about it. Have you ever seen a video on the internet and just immediately become incredibly emotionally moved by a thing you had never heard of before and shouldn't care about? This happened to me yesterday. Because there's this show that used to be on TV, I guess it got canceled, called Tiny Chef. And they did, like, an animation of the character on the show finding out that a show got canceled. And it was just the saddest little thing in the whole world. Anyway, it was way up on the internet yesterday, and I saw it, and then I was like, why did I watch this? But no, I mean, it's useful, because if you start crying at like 9:30 in the morning, you can sort of like get your daily unnecessary crying session out of the way like immediately, and then like get on with your day, and then you probably won't cry if you hear like a song you like on the radio while you're driving, because that can get really inconvenient, right? You cry when you're driving, you gotta like get your sunglasses out of your eyes and like not crash and everything. So at least I watched the Tiny Chef video, you know, when I got up in the morning. Yeah, no, that one really got me. It's like, clearly there's people that wish they knew that it existed, but I guess, like, you know, would I watch it? No, I don't watch TV, you know. But I was just like, man, there's got to be something you can get rid of instead of this, right? Like, look at the little guy. Look at him. There's a television show called Tiny Chef, and I had never heard of it, but I guess it just got canceled. And there's a video that the creators put out, like a little sort of like felted stop motion type of thing, as I guess how I would describe it, and of the character on the show learning that they'd been canceled, and it was very sad. It was all up on the internet yesterday. Your other favorite moments of the show get canceled is Uncle Grandpa, the main character of the kind. That is pretty funny. There's some shows I almost wish they'd canceled them. I was lucky enough growing up that like my favorite show on TV got a pretty satisfying like story and ending and everything, which was Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But I liked a bunch of shows, but they basically, you know, they kept on going, or I got bored of them, you know, like Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess, which I basically liked because they had Greek mythology, not because they were, you know, good television. I'm not gonna act like I had taste whenever I was a kid, but, you know, I was aware that the acting wasn't amazing. But the show that I wish had not been canceled the most was, it's a very common pick. It's called Firefly, which I didn't watch when it was on the air, but I watched many years later, and then when I got, I was watching it with some of my siblings, and then, we got to the end of the first disc, the first season thing, and I was like, all right, Becca, like, roll it up, put the next one in, let's go. We don't need to do anything else on the TV but watch this. And then she looked at me and she's like, oh no, it's over, that's it. And I was like, did you tell me that earlier and I just wasn't paying attention? Like, is that a thing that happened? But it was really good. It was a Joss Whedon project, who used to be famous for being the guy who made Buffy, a television show that I don't think I've ever seen in an episode of, but then later got involved with like Marvel and stuff, and now would be much better known for those things than he ever will be for anything else in his career, I imagine. And you got SpongeBob, who will never die. SpongeBob is great, and I think, if you can find a way to make something live on in the proper spirit, beyond the creator, then that's good, especially if it's like literally, living on, as a way to overcome it, rather than like the creator becoming estranged from a show, which I feel like I don't know many examples of. It's like, oh, they pushed out the show creator and then it got better all of a sudden. Like, it's always the opposite of that, but it's not good anymore. That's too bad. We're just gonna pop on over to the trail ruin real quick. There we go. We don't have to fly very far. It's not super far away. Yeah, sometimes a show, doesn't need to keep on going. Sometimes, rarely a show will have some of its best content, very late in the running. Although, you certainly can't count on that. All right. And yeah, the trail ruin excavation. We're also going to cut down some dark oak trees. Or rather, a lot of them, or rather, some of them, for some saplings. Over here, of course, we have a pillager tower still on fire. That's super weird. I wonder what could have happened there. Maybe we should investigate it. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I was just here the other day, and we got rid of a bunch of them. I don't know, like 9, but I guess they're back. Donating their bones. No, you don't get bones from them. That's coarse. You get their crossbows. Yeah, well, when I did come back for, like, the first time in a long time, I was like, hey, is that tower on fire? What could have happened there? And then I was like, oh, right. I wonder what could have happened there. Look, I don't need to explain myself to anyone, least of all those scum. Let's not forget the atrocities that they are capable of. And indeed engage in happily. which are different than my atrocities, which are only done, you know, because I really needed some turtles. Like, yeah, I technically displaced the turtle and brought it very far away from its homeland. And now it doesn't know where it is anymore. But that's how you get turtles. We're ruining this amazing forest, but you know we'll plant some more. The thing is you get like enough for more trees, but it takes 4. It takes 4 freaking saplings to make another tree. So it's not nearly as quick going as some other stuff is, but you know. They are the prettiest for a reason, to encourage you to go the extra mile and fall down. I like this. This looks like the biomes in House of Dirt, where we first met Garuda. It's very reminiscent of that area, except it doesn't, you know, it doesn't look anything like it anywhere else except for right here. That was a good world. You know, just the little tiny short ravine drop in there. You know, the dirt on either side. People, you know, they often ask if you could, like, go back and play any game for the first time. Like, what would it be? And man, it's tough, you know? But getting to play Minecraft all over again would be a joyous thing. Because while I have a really good time playing it and stuff and just messing around, but man, I loved it whenever I was still learning. When I didn't even have my render distance up, and I was just, you know, like trying to figure things out, and everything was a new wonderful adventure. Because, like, I mean, hardcore really had some teeth back then. Like, every single time I loaded into hardcore, I didn't know if that was going to be my last time in that world. And now I just don't have those anxieties anymore. Like, I don't. I mean, like, I don't go walking into the deep dark. But, you know, beyond that, or, like, being in the end, I just don't feel like anything can ever kill me. You know, the totems give you such safety. Like, I haven't gone back and looked at the videos. They're probably pretty funny, though. I mean, a little bit of funny. Like, I was running around with a stick because I hit something and got a stick, and I didn't make, like, a crafting table for probably, like, an hour, right? You know me. I like to learn at my own pace. I'm just, like, hitting armadillos with a stick. I'm hitting zombies with a stick, I die, you know, because I'm playing on normal. I'm hitting skeletons with a stick, I die. It's like, I'm running around, and every single night, I just die again. I die of fall damage, you know. You know, I saw an Enderman walking around, like, the first Enderman I saw was by, like, a ruined portal, which I called, like, cursed portals in those days. Because, you know, I didn't have any concept of any of the stuff. I'm like, it looks sketchy. I don't think I should go around it, you know. in my early hardcore days, I would build, like, a place to lay my bed down in, which is super funny to me now. Like, the idea that I would need to put a bed somewhere. Like, if I would notice the sun going down, and I would, like, dig a little hole into a wall, you know, with a much worse tool, and put a little, you know, put a door down, and a torch, and a bed, and, you know, that was... I miss that, because you can never really go back, you know? Even if I told myself to start doing it, like, the sincerity of the action, you know, that's all part of being a new player. It's sort of like if you replay an open world game that you've already played before. Like, you're playing Skyrim again, and you're like, alright, I'm gonna just go to where I explore. Well, yeah, but you already know what it's like to explore, you know? I already know what an Enderman is. I already know, you know, how a lot of stuff works. I mean, obviously not everything, but a lot of it, you know, and the joy of discovering that, or like water and water source blocks, and like the canal, like the first canal I built was such a wonderful thing, and like, and digging it all out with like wooden and stone tools. Like the hole I built in the ocean that I dug with stone pickaxes. Oh no, dog is stuck. Poor dog. Don't be stuck, dog. Have pork chop. Come on now. Yeah, come on now. Get on out of there. Poor stuck dog. But it's funny, because, like, you know, I start playing it, and I'm talking to people at work about it and stuff, and some people are like, you know, they're excited, and some people, I'm just like, you're giving terrible advice. I didn't, like, say so to them, but, you know, they would be like, you should watch this video on how to do this automatically, and I'm like, yeah, maybe, but, like, y'all know that this is the only time I'm ever gonna get to play Minecraft for the first time, you know, and, like, I'm glad I did it my way. I always play games my way. Nobody's ever been able to get me to act differently than the way I do, right? You gotta threaten me pretty hard. You can't just give me good advice about it. But I mean, you've heard me say a lot of times, but I feel like people can, you know, you can optimize the fun out of a game. You can learn too much of it. You can kill your own joy, which I know we've talked about in the specific context of Minecraft before. You know, people, you know, like, I can't recapture the feelings, but they won't play anything like the same way. You know, if they need iron, they build an iron farm. If they need diamonds, they go get them some way they know how. I'm like, no, find a shipwreck. Follow the map, you know? Feel wonder. Like, if I already knew I was gonna find one of these things when I first found it, you know, all of that feeling would be gone. But some games, you know, I could see how, like, any competitive game, you know, because you want to figure it out on your own, but you can't. Nobody can. If you're trying to play a competitive game with your own builds, you know, you're either a genius or an idiot, and I know which there are more of in the world. But you want to respect it, but you're like, oh, you invented a new chest opening? It's not good. They're like, how do you say that? You didn't even hear what it was. I'm like, well, you just said you made it. But, you know, a game like chess and a game like Minecraft couldn't be more different unless you're playing chess inside of Minecraft. In which case, they couldn't be more similar. Yeah, you say you feel like if there's a way, it's better to do it. Yeah, and I feel... Let me old man for a second, right? Like, people have a lot of, like, sort of, like, brittleness when it comes to working it out in the context of a game. You know, I have a buddy, I always use him as an example. He doesn't know it's him if he's watching. He's not, nobody else is here. You know, because I never say his name, but he knows who he is. He won't try anything for any amount of time. Like, he'll just be like, after like 2 minutes, he's like, I'm gonna look it up. And he'll just like get like a walkthrough thing that tells him like the 9 steps of a quest. And I'm like, did you read the thing? He's like, what? I'm like, there was a note. They handed you a note. Did you read the note? He's like, no. I'm like, well, maybe if you would read it. But I'm that way. I'm just that way about symbols. A game can throw a new symbol on the screen, and if I already feel like I've eaten enough symbols today, I just ignore it, no matter what it is. But I'm not really willing to look up something for a game unless I am like hard stuck on it. I remember having to do it growing up some, but look, games used to be designed a lot worse. There would be so many opportunities, just so many opportunities to lock yourself out of progress. If you like accidentally threw an item away because it looked like it didn't matter, the game wouldn't be like, that's a key item, you can't drop it. It would just be like, alright, bummer. When later on you need a spatula, you're really gonna wish you held on to it. Which, I was sort of humorously reminded of that in Undertale, the only time I ever played that, which was some many months ago, but it was a great time. But there's spoilers if you haven't played it, but there's a boss. I'll be vague, but there's an item that you can carry, and you can show a boss that you're like friendly to their people if you have the item on you. But if you don't, but you bought the item earlier and don't have it anymore, midway through the boss fight, the boss will like get a phone call from a person who talks about how you did buy the item, and so it's like a funny sort of callback to that in a way. At least that's how I interpreted it, because I was like, oh man, I can't believe I got rid of that item. Oh no, because a big thing in Undertale is trying to peacefully, if you want, trying to peacefully get through boss fights without having to kill your opponent. And then it was very funny to me that I thought that I had like locked myself out of the peaceful path, so to say, but that actually it was just making me think that, and then it was still allowing me to do it if I wanted. So I liked that a lot. I should play Undertale again. I should do a lot of things. You say old games were so brutal. You like the newer games are easier in certain aspects, but want games to be more challenging. Yeah, you know, sometimes I say that, and then I find a newer game that's plenty challenging. Like, so I was playing Hollow Knight for the first time yesterday, and I mean, like, I'm just at the beginning. I killed, like, the first little miniature boss, but it was definitely, like, it wasn't easy, you know, like, I wasn't paying a lot of attention, but without being mean, when am I ever? When am I ever? You know, or like Celeste, which is a game that, you know, has a wonderful difficulty curve, and like, you know, I guess it isn't that new. It's like 8 years old now or whatever. But, and then like, you know, the roguelike genre in general, you know, is built on thriving. And then, you know, Elden Ring and all the Souls-likes and stuff, which I haven't played Elden Ring at all, and I haven't played any of the Souls games myself. I have played some of them like with the controller in my friend's house, you know, but I haven't. I think I own them because I was gonna play Dark Souls, probably for YouTube. That was probably the plan ages ago. I looked at my Steam library history thing because you can organize it by like when you bought the game and stuff. And I was like, hey, let's look at the games I bought in reverse order. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I bought, you know, this and that. That makes sense. I bought Skyrim first, like when I got my computer and got Steam, you know. And then I got the Dark Souls games. I'm like, and I never played them. And then I look and I'm like, oh, Mountain Blade Warband. I got Mountain Blade Warband like 2 days after I bought Dark Souls. And like that summer Steam sale it would have been. And without even booting it up, then I got hooked on Mountain Blade Warband and played basically no other games for a long time. Because I have 1,900 hours in Mountain Blade Warband. That was, you know, that was my jam, as they say. That was my whole YouTube channel for a really long time. That was all that I made was Warband videos. And I would say all the time in them, one day I'm gonna play other stuff. I probably even said maybe I'll play Minecraft. But I did play Minecraft, just like I promised. This is one of the goals whenever I bought this computer, you know. You saying I should play Deltarune? Yeah, I haven't. It's connected to Deltarune Marathon. Yeah, you know, I saw that it came out and the people were very excited about it. It definitely seems worth playing. I think I want to play Undertale, like, again, at least one more time, because I haven't been, like, spoiled on Undertale, even though I only played it for the first time this last year. But, I know that the game remembers at least some things from previous playthroughs, and I certainly want to, you know, go through that at least one time before doing it again. And I want to try to not, you know, kill any of the bosses this time, because I accidentally dispatched the initial mom goat person, which I felt so bad about. I guess you just have to weaken them to do the diplomacy, but I couldn't get her down to the weakened part, and then I did like the first proper, you know, extra damage attack timing thing and killed her. Unless there's like some way that I wasn't getting to keep her alive, and I wasn't going to be able to spare her no matter what. But, you know, I definitely want to solve that issue. And somebody explained to me that you have to run from the captain of the guard. You can't intimidate her like normal, and then that's the way to do it. I was like, but I don't want to run. And they said very patiently, it's the peaceful way to end the combat. You can pretend you talked her down. And I was like, oh, you're doing the thing where I'm not being reasonable and you're being patient about it. Maybe I'll listen. Yeah, you know, I knew that all of the regular enemies had, you know, paths to not have the combat. You know, whatever they happen to be. And I knew that the bosses did too. I just couldn't identify them in some of the bosses. I haven't gone back and looked at the video, but like I didn't want to beat the mom goat at the beginning. People called her mom goat. That's why I do. I don't remember her character name actually. But the previous queen or whatever. Because she was really nice, you know, she was really sweet, and it was sad, you know, her story was sad, and I just wanted, you know, her to keep on, but, like, I had to move forward, the game required it, and then I wasn't ultimately able to spare her due to me not getting the mechanics right. But there was plenty of mobs that we were able to peacefully talk down from the combats, and that always felt good. I would have felt so bad if I had to beat the dog in the armor. They're so adorable. Or good old Psalm. Which is probably supposed to be pronounced Sans, but, you know, you can only say it with an S if it's not French, and it is. Or if there was a vowel sound directly afterward, the S. And I know it's French because it's the word for without, which you see in text because a whole bunch of them have names of fonts, and that means that the song is definitely a font name reference, like Helvetica, and not just an accidental thing. But I bet people say it sans or sans, but you know, it's song. I've had 2 semesters of French in college. I can't speak it or hear it, but I can read it a little bit. He's definitely French. Whoops. Whoops. But, you know, this is what necessitated in the other ruin archaeology of pushing the, in this case it was an ocean, not a river, but pushing the water away and then building a glass wall to, be able to see it more readily. Yeah, I might need to do it before too long. What should I do this 100 days? I need to set a goal. Not like a lot of them, just like a goal. Is that like a water block? I'm so confused by it. How was there a source there? Oh. Now I can figure it out. I retract my previous confusion. We need to figure out how to make a redstone bookshelf so that when we place a bookshelf into the bookshelf, a secret door will open. I need to work on that. Because there's an advancement. Read the power signal of a chiseled bookshelf using a comparator. So we'll just have to, you know, that indicates to me that the amount of books in one would be able to be different depending on. And I've seen a secret door with pistons before in one of those ruins. I don't know how to do it, but we need to figure out both piston push and pull scenarios, plus we need to figure out how to activate it whenever we put books in. So we'll have 100 days to do that. And along the way, we will also dig in the mine where 1,000,000 diamonds shine. It's what we like to do. I would like to thank the song Diggy Diggy Hole for bringing me to Minecraft. You know, that was a great one. And then Fallen Kingdom, the Coldplay parody. So I did listen to both of those on YouTube shortly before picking up Minecraft, ultimately, because I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, this is good. Music that's built around the game. And sometimes whenever I'm digging a hole in Minecraft, I think to myself, I am a dwarf, and I'm digging a hole. You say you think that'd be so fun, you think they're needed for everyone. I agree. You know, I was gonna, in my survival world with all the wheat, I was building like a secret bookshelf that had like an escape hatch underneath my chimney in my farmhouse, which I did do it. I got the Marcus Aurelius painting, and I didn't realize, you know, that it existed. I'm like, oh man, now I can't take the painting down ever. Like, it's got to stay here, you know. So I sort of backed off on it, but there were a couple of trapdoors that you could open, and then it landed onto like some hay bales, like Assassin's Creed. one that inspired you the most was We Don't Mind at Night. I don't know that one. I only listened to a few of them, but yeah. The Fallen Kingdom one, I really liked. It was a wonderful emotional thing because again, without playing Minecraft at all, the story told in I think it was called Fallen Kingdom, was just wonderful, you know. And it went with that Coldplay song that got sort of overplayed beautifully well. And anyway, I don't really listen to the radio, so even when a song is overplayed, I'm usually not, you know, subjected to it. Because, like, I don't want to brag, I have sufficient stature at work to where if somebody's listening to music and I hate it, I can have them forced to turn it off, right? You know, I'll be like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to, you know, whatever they're hearing. Like, look, listening to Pearl Jam's fine for you, but it's not fine for me and my friends. No, that's a bad example. Plenty of people like Pearl Jam. It's a good example because I've done it before. Because again, the music doesn't have to be bad for me to make people get rid of it. I just have to not like it. But Diggy Diggy Hole was excellent, and it led me to this other band, and I can't remember their name right now. I just Google the names of the songs whenever I want to hear them. I'm gonna look it up now though. So it's like a metal band. Windrose, that's right. And Windrose did a cover, like, they're like a metal band, and they did a metal cover of Diggy Diggy Hole that was awesome, and I started listening to their stuff. And they do, like, dwarf metal, so they did, like, Warhammer dwarf songs. Like, they did one called Gates of Ekrund, and Ekrund is this dwarf hold that fell after, you know, heroically standing against the Greenskin assault. Greenskins are like goblins, orcs, trolls. It's the unification of those tribes in Warhammer Fantasy. So you don't call them orcs because they're much more than just orcs. So the Greenskin tribes assault there, and it's called Gates of Ekrund, and it's the story of, you know, them all falling in the failed defense of their hold, which is very heavy metal and awesome. I love Warhammer Fantasy dwarves are amazing because they are all about, like, having, you know, they're on their way out kind of thing, and they're very bitter about anyone who's ever wronged them, and they keep all of their grudges in a great book called the Book of Grudges, and they quite rightly, you know, look to the past when their people held all of the previous dwarf holds and stuff, and then, you know, it's taken away from them from the invading, legitimately quite evil, you know, invaders. But then sometimes they're just mad at people because they didn't pay them the agreed upon amount, and they were off by, like, the equivalent of $2. But anyway, yes, Windrose. And so, rather than go down the rabbit hole of more Minecraft music, I went down the rabbit hole of more of that band, which I enjoyed so much that I couldn't even remember their name, but I did listen to a bunch of them. This room's weird. There's much less, like, it was just a couple terracotta bricks on top of each other, basically. Most of them have a lot more going on internally than all that. Oh well. You say you think more people need to make fantasy metal? Absolutely. You know, and when they do, like, you know, sure, I love Lord of the Rings, but, you know, like, some other things need love too, you know, like some other universes could deal with having some awesome songs written about them. But, like, the video for Gates of Ekrund is amazing. They're dressed up like dwarves. It looks like they're in a Warhammer Fantasy dwarven hold. They're, like, holding their axes, then saying, you know, fight, fight, you know, kill them all, that type of thing. It's so amazing. It's what heavy metal was meant to be. They're like, you know, they're surveying the hordes in front of them. It looks like a still from a movie. It's good stuff. They've all got long beards, and if they don't, then they're in the background. You know, they've got like the big old shoulder pad armor on. I love Warhammer Dwarves. I should play Total War Warhammer for stream. Except I'm bad at it. That doesn't matter, though. Oh no, I have broken the cobblestone. We will replace it with other cobblestone and no one will know. This is how to disreputably conduct archaeology. Whoops. Suspicious dirt, or gravel rather. Very suspicious. Yield your secrets to me. It is coal or flint or something, you know, fine. Man, this ruin is extensive. If it was the sacred cobblestone, we put it back exactly where we found it, and no one will ever be able to tell that it was moved. In the last ruin, I removed all the cobblestone on the basis that it couldn't be that important if it was cobblestone. And I didn't brush a single piece of suspicious gravel because I didn't know what it was. Stone shovel time. If you use a proper, like, enchanted shovel, you'll just churn right through the suspicious gravel, which you don't want. You know, you gotta get your pots and pans. You gotta get your candles and your trims, your string, apparently. So I would find, like, the gravel rooms, and I would be like, oh, great, this gravel sediment has fallen on a room. Let's remove all of it right away. And I had not played nearly enough Minecraft to be like, hey, that is a slightly irregular texture. Especially since, you know, you're often digging in the dark. Yes, here we are, digging in the dark, only doing the best of best practices. Nothing untoward ever happens at my dig site, no sir! Yep, a fascinating group of people. They had string, glass. Many scholars believe that they were people of the yo-yo, but it's inconclusive at this time as to what their skill sets would have been. Were they a walk the dog tribe, or some other trick that I can't think of the name of? Further study, and indeed grant money, will be required to figure this out. It looks like there's another, like, big ol' kiln area over here. This is a nice little ruin, huh? Speed ray! Yeah, so it just goes over in this direction, and we're just gonna need to trim all that down. Which is fine. It looks almost like it's got two main buildings, but I don't think it does, because the main building should be taller. I think that one is just like... I think that's going to be a blast furnace room, and it's just pretty far away relative to what I expect. But I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. The other ruin I found had like a big structure with blast furnaces in it, and it had like a thick terracotta layer on the bottom, and it sort of looked reminiscent of that to me, but we'll figure it out. You know, I kind of want to go look at her sculpture. The man of pumpkin. The pumpkin person. Where's that village? I'm like, oh no. It's lost and gone forever. No, it's over here. We found some pumpkins that were like generated on top of each other when the world gen happened. So like a layer of pumpkins and then other ones that were on top of it. And then I cut them down because I was like, that's cool, let's cut them down. But then I was like, no, I felt sorry for what I had done. And so I built this big giant pumpkin to remind me to not knock down pumpkins that are on top of other pumpkins because they are special. I left it there in the town to teach them the same lesson if they needed it. This is right by that lake where I built the weird little gold thing and then never came back again. Because I'm a baller, you know, I just got so many gold blocks that I can build it in the middle of a river and then never come back again. That's what's hot on the streets. It's like when I knock down like a 4-height sugarcane, you know? They only grow that tall when the world is born, and then I knock it down for what? For one additional piece of sugarcane, I make me sick. Whoops. Everyone likes a different part of Minecraft, but this is one of my favorite parts. Say, do I think I'll ever download mods for it? I think so, someday. I was actually really thinking about it a bit ago, because I was like, you know, I sort of like exhausted all of the ideas that I had, kind of thing. But then Then there was an update, and then I had like a couple like story hook ideas, you know. I had the villagers falling down into the ravine, and that led to building the river, which to cover up the sunken village, and that led to building the lake and the waterfall. And then the ghast came out, and that led to naming one a great name. That led to wanting another ghast because they're cute, and that led to wanting 16 of them to be the Council of Ghasts. And, you know, these ideas are wildly higher in scale than my previous ones. Like, I could spend a whole 100 days just building Gaston's house, right? By the way, obviously by Gaston's Seat of Power, we're going to have a chest that has 5 dozen eggs inside of it, you know, to help him get large. To help him be a barge. But since I'm planning on living for like 6,000 or 7,000 more years, I hope at some point I embrace more Minecraft mods. Or rather, any at all. Yeah, I think we'll have to name one of them Polar Ghast, and then we'll do, like, we'll have a couple of polar bears there to hang out with Polar Ghast. And he can be, you know, like, down, we'll do, like, a little watery thing we'll try to set up around there for him, and then higher up on that side we'll have the Alpenghast for the Mountain Ghast. Yeah, because you're like, you think mods only go so far if you don't have any dice for a world. Yeah. And then there's some where I'm like, you know, people are describing them to me. I'm like, you know, I feel like I could have this much fun by just saying, I'm going to spawn and find a ship in the middle of the ocean and then say that's my shipwreck. And then we're never, you know, we're just going to live off of the shipwreck type of thing. Or like, you know, I'm going to live on this one weird island. I'm going to do, you know, I'm gonna do a Robinson Crusoe, but, you know, without an identical narrative. It's like, I thought Skyblock could be really interesting, but then people are like, Skyblock's a map, it's not even a mod. I'm like, well, then I retract that I was thinking about doing it. But it's also like, you know, I get distracted. I got my plans here, because Garuda doesn't even exist in non-hardcore worlds. He only arrives here. You know, the family's here. But I've heard of like very interesting mods that change all sorts of interesting, you know, dynamics to the game, or make it much harder, or make it much grindier. And I think all of that is fascinating, you know, like a harder version of the game, sure. I don't want to be like, this game's easy. It is, though. All you have to do is live long enough to get Protection 16 Diamond Armor, and then you can basically do anything you want. Oh, wait, you mean it's hard to do that? I mean, a little bit. You can make it work. I'm like, what's even going on here? Okay, so it's an internal water system that goes underneath here. Well, that is pretty annoying. Dog! Hello, dog. Here, have some pork chops. Who's a good dog? More dog! Their tail's so low. Eat more pork chops. So you think hard modes are fun, but spending 20 minutes to make a pickaxe feels a little much. Yeah, you know, I bet a lot of them mainly just be fun for the experience of trying it out, you know? Even something like that sounds like very cool once, you know, not to play my whole time like that. Somebody at work was telling me about a mod that was just like misery, like like there were like 8 steps to making everything, you know, like every time you jumped you lost food saturation. It was just like made on purpose to be very punishingly hard, which, you know, is fine if that's what you want. I'm not averse to playing a game that's too hard and dying at it a little bit for, you know, the fun of it, or, you know, for entertainment. But, you know, if you want to get up every day and play a game, it's got to at least have a gameplay loop that's somewhat playable. At least, I think. And anyway, that's why I used to get up and play Minecraft over and over and die all the time. Nah. I was conscious that I was learning and getting better. And I was conscious that the only way to get better at hardcore Minecraft is to play hardcore Minecraft. And that's probably not true, but it was the only way for me. I would, you know, I'd talk to people and they'd be like, oh yeah, you should try this and this and this. I'm like, oh, did you play hardcore? And they're like, no. I'm like, well then, I'm going to keep on doing my thing. I think planting 7,000 pumpkins is a smart idea, actually. And now sometimes they'll be like, so are you still alive in Minecraft? I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm like really good at this. People will come from miles around, you know, to watch me eat small slivers of cake on momentous days. Like, it's a whole thing. Fun mods to Twilight Forest adds a bunch of new dimension and bosses and stuff. So, yeah, see, that's so cool. Or, like, a mod that added in, like, a bunch of structures or whatever. Like, just new places to explore, you know, new things to find, mods that added, you know, like new advancements to track down, new stats to do, like any of that. Like, because I love stuff like that in games, you know. Like, if there was just a thing that was like, you know, collect 1,000 pieces of every wood, like in Stardew Valley, where, you know, you have to collect like zounds and zounds of materials, you know, to build whatever thing. Like, I like that, you know. If it was like, oh, you know, you can get a passive ability to whatever, but first you have to, you know, find 1,000 cows and convince them to all stand in one small field. Gotta keep an eye on the shovel. They are so easy to break. The great part about digging these out, like, inside is whenever you decide that you want to go for a dirt layer, you get, like, sort of dramatic results. Because that's just like so much more visibility. Isn't it lovely? Like, if I made a mod, it would be adding little structures in, and then they would have, you know, like little books, you know, little poetry snippets or whatever, you know, and little ways to tell a story about the place. It wouldn't even be, you know, any real thing. It would just be like, you could find books that had stuff written in them, and then, you know. I wouldn't make that, though. Someone else has already done it, I'm sure. I do miss working on my submod for Warband. I had some of the most fun of my life making that thing. Just sitting around, hunched over my computer, totally not knowing what I was doing at all. Just like editing files in Notepad. A great experience. And maybe all because I'm so literal. I never asked the dude if he was like trying to be a jerk or not. I just took him at his word. So I was like, I don't like X, Y, Z, and Q. And he's like, if you don't like it, why don't you change it? And I said, okay. I guess I'll find out how to do that. And then I did. And it was awesome. And I think he liked me after that. I think he was surprised that I actually went through the effort of changing it. Which, of course, led me to make my most successful video of all time, where I, without a script, and without edits, and without a plan, talked about all the things I knew about how to edit Mountain Blade Warband, and then put it up on YouTube like 10 years ago and never looked back. But one of them has like I think it's like 100,000 views or something like that, which is nuts. But I shudder to think that people go to it looking for answers, but I know it has helped some people, so. Because after, you know, I made my video of it and people would watch it and they'd be like, hey, what's up with this? This is different. I'm like, oh yeah, I made this submod. And they'd be like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know, I just sort of faked it. And they would say, you should make a video. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing. Which I must have said in that video a lot. I haven't gone back and rewatched it, so I don't know. Yeah, we've got to trim this wall back so far. Oh, that was a suspicious one. Sad. Yeah, I think this is the blast furnace structure. I need to be more careful in here. There's suspicious gravel all over. Yeah, here's one. Need to put up a torch so that I can see it. Another disc. That's 3 in 1 ruin. They are not uncommon, but of course, any block that you hit that cracks one is one you won't get. We just need to make another stone shovel real quick. You gotta go with the stone, of course. I'm like, I guess I don't... I definitely don't have a crafting table on me. I'm like, is there one over here? Yes. What? A cartography table? Suspicious one here. So you just realized the ruin looked like a village. It's so fun. Yeah, it's, So whenever I excavated the first one in my video, Anthropology of the Terracotta People, I didn't even know at this point that the job blocks were job blocks, right? So I was like trying to interpret sociological and cultural information based on, you know, not even knowing how villagers worked. So when I finally found, like, a crafting table in one, I was like, wow, this is definitely a human civilization. But yeah, it, you know, there's a cauldron over in one of these, and they've got different sort of rooms in them. The cauldron room I've seen in a different one, although it wasn't made out of this brick. And then you've got, you know, like, secondary things. Here's where, this was, like, where that crafting table was born at. And then you have, like, the big central tower that's usually the only thing that creeps up out of the ground. And you see, like, some terracotta for it. But, yeah, yeah, I immediately interpreted them as, like, this was a place that people were living in, right? And that something happened, and then, like, I made, like, a whole internal explanation, you know, because it's so far under the water line, right? So it would be ancient, or it would have been dug in directly by the water, by people with the technology to keep the water out. Because, I mean, just imagine building a structure like this next to an ocean under sea level. Like, that's wild, right? And that's the first one I found, so I was very engaged with it for that reason as well. But yeah, no, it has job blocks. Mine had, like, cauldrons and blast furnaces and something else maybe in my original one. This one's got a grindstone too. But my plan is to eventually repopulate it, like to make it a living village again. To, you know, make houses and stairs, to do stuff in this, like, structural style. Oh no! That was load-bearing blue terracotta. It's back again. You say it was fun watching your video with limited knowledge of Minecraft at the time because I was right with so many things. You know, I'm glad I was right, because it means that Minecraft was a well-developed game, right? Because if you just try to logically think your way through stuff and you get to the right answers, that's good design. That's really good design. Even down to the hooks for this area, right? Because I found the ruin, not because someone told me it existed, but because I was walking through a forest and I saw, I think it was red, it might have been yellow. I saw a color that didn't belong. And there's a, I might say it wrong, I should look it up, but there's this quote by Guillermo del Toro. It goes basically like, if you find something in a forest that nature didn't put there, you know, somebody put it there, something along those lines. I can't find it. Anyway, I'll just quote it wrong. I'll just quote it wrong and that'll be okay. But along the lines of if you come across something in a forest and nature did not put it there, that means somebody put it there. And it was a thrilling moment for me whenever I first was discovering the trail ruins. Even though I ruined all of the gravel and got no artifacts and talked about in my video how strange it was that people had like metallurgy but didn't leave any like other the simpler artifacts. I talked about how it could have been very ancient, so that the organic material would have decayed, leaving just the bricks and the terracotta, whereas, you know, all of the sticks and brooms and tools that would have characterized them had been lost because I broke all of the gravel. But very funny stuff, I think. Enthusiastic, clumsy archaeologist is enthusiastic and clumsy. But yeah, basically without knowing, I just tried to make it make sense. And a good game, and Minecraft, I mean, is better than a good game, but a good game will give you the ability to figure out why things are the way they are by looking around. I mean, sometimes you gotta be told for whatever narrative thing, but like Baldur's Gate 3, probably the best example of this in the modern era of environmental storytelling, where if you just check stuff out, you will learn so much about the dynamic of the area you're in, about coming danger, about how to approach problems. But plenty of people, like my friends, are just like, wait, what's going on here? I'm like, did you not read the note? The note on the table, it... Or like, I'm over here wiping away tears, and they're like, what? I'm like, you didn't read the note? You didn't read the note on the fisherman? Why won't you read the note? Oh, it's good stuff. I need to do Baldur's Gate videos. I need to, but like, not stream them. I need to actually just do like a super deep dive for Baldur's Gate, where I just do, you know, like a segment at a time, and look at every single thing in the whole environment and read all the books out loud and like organize my thoughts on it, because I really liked Baldur's Gate. I had a great time with it, and I think it's super brilliant. And I think that's definitely a game where if I was streaming, I might get distracted from how much I need to talk only about the game. With something like Minecraft, especially at this point in it, like, streaming's really, like, a joy for me in the context of it, because it gives me something to do while I'm digging, you know? Something to ramble about, whereas, you know, without an audience to play off of, it would be harder to find ideas sometimes. But, and that could be too, because I never make videos, you know? It could be, like, shorter videos where I don't want to be, like, where I, you know, edit stuff, because I probably won't, but I might even, you know, I might even try to learn that. No, I shouldn't even joke about learning to edit a video. I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to do it. It's been like 1,200 videos and I haven't done it yet. But yeah, because I just really think Baldur's Gate's really good, and I think that could be fun. And I want to do, like, you know, a very typical main character. I've been brainstorming this for a super long time, but a bard who, you know, oh no, bonked on the head, you have amnesia. So she's going to be very highly motivated to figure out both what's going on around her, but also, like, as a person who knows that she's a bard, even if she can't, like, remember anything, you know, she's going to want to absorb the knowledge of the place and, you know, try to figure out through exploring things and looking around and sort of creative views on knowledge and culture and solving problems, because she won't know how people are supposed to act, but, you know, still have, like, a moral compass and stuff. And then, you know, we'll go and do that. That's like the working idea. You say you've never played Baldur's Gate, so it'd be very informative for you. Oh yeah, well, yeah, because I don't want to. There's like a difficulty with permadeath. I don't think I want to play that, just because I don't want to play in such a min-maxy kind of way that I would be able to do it. I don't know if I could beat it on that difficulty. Probably. I'd probably fail a few times, but, you know, I want to play more, because they had a big patch several months ago, massive, where they gave every class in the game, so 12 classes, all a new subclass, which, yeah, a patch, not a DLC. You didn't have to pay for it. They just put it into the game, and I want to play with some of those for sure. But I played Baldur's Gate for like 250 hours or so, but I certainly don't think that I know everything about it, or that I wouldn't find plenty to say and do and feel while we were going through it. Although I've played the beginning of the game a whole lot, you know, by the time we get to the 3rd chapter, which is immense, like, I've barely done anything in it, but that's just one of the ideas I've been kicking around. And we throw the disc into the pool of lava. And we've got a spare one at home for the spares, and a spare one in the chest, and one like already, right? You know, look, if it's a disc that you find in a place a large percentage of the time, I'm probably going to get a lot of them. So you say it's awesome, you know, when games are trying to steal your money. Yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 has had so much content released for it since its release, and all of it has been free. All of it's been base game content, no DLC, no extra payments. And when I say a ton, I mean hundreds and hundreds of hours. Like, subclasses, that's huge. You know, like, most of the classes in the game had 3 subclasses, and they gave them all another one. It's basically like a whole nother character a subclass is. You know, like, they share a lot of characteristics with the base class, but there's a whole bunch of identity and specialties and, like, just, you know, flavor and role-playing potential. They weren't happy with how they did the ending. They thought it was, like, sort of lackluster when they first released it. They did a huge, like, epilogue that went in with, like, they brought in, like new voice acting lines, like, tons and tons and tons of time spent on it, which I actually haven't been to the epilogue since, but I know it exists. But, you know, really a great studio as far as treating the consumer with, you know, like, respect instead of greed is the best way that it may be able to be put, you know. Like, they were happy that everybody loved their game, and they wanted to keep on making it better, but they didn't want to use that as an excuse to take more of our money because they wanted the game to be better. They didn't want to make more money off of the people that already loved it. And you just don't see that. You just don't. And Larian really, I think, made an incredibly positive influence on me with that, and with a ton of people, because Baldur's Gate was a smash hit. And, you know, if they would have wanted to charge people another $100 for all the DLC they'd done, they would have done it, and we would have bought it, and that would have been a thing they could have done. But they literally said, we've made enough money off of you. We're so glad that you want to keep on playing this game. Here's more. And that's just so awesome. Which, you know, like with Minecraft, you know, on Bedrock, you know, there's all the charged mods and all of that, blah, blah, blah. But Minecraft, fundamentally, when you buy Java, you know, you buy it, and now you have it, and now you have all these updates, you know, the Happy Gas, the Trail Ruin, and they definitely could have a more predatory monetization practice for that, and it is awesome. I do want to give Minecraft, you know, a little small indie game, a shout out for for good practices in that regard. Because if they would have charged me $10 for the Happy Gas, I don't want to say it, but I would have paid it, you know. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't have to. Yeah. You might actually have to buy the game as an RPG or fighting game. So it's an RPG. It's called a CRPG, which I believe stands for Computer RPG. Basically, in the vein of the earlier Baldur's Gates or like Dragon Age Origins. So it's Dungeons and Dragons based. Like the classes from Dungeons and Dragons, some settings that already existed in Dungeons and Dragons. It's a licensed Dungeons and Dragons game. So if you have familiarity with D&D, then you'll know tons of stuff in it. As far as like, oh, that's a barbarian. They'll get a move called Rage that has this. And it's not 100% accurate to the edition of D&D that it was built on, 5th edition, I think. I don't play D&D myself. I'm just going on what I know. But basically, it's a whole lot of stuff in common with it. And yeah, it's a story-driven RPG. You wake up and spoilers, but you know, a bad thing happens, and you are trying to solve this problem. If you don't solve it, you will die, kind of thing. And along the way, you meet others, you level up, you get in adventures, you know, you talk to people. You can indeed romance characters, and a lot of people on the internet, man, oh man, do they sure like some of those characters. I have my favorite too, you know. I thought I knew the character that was going to be my girlfriend in that game, and then when I met the actual character, I was like, oh, never mind. It's you. It's always been you. This is my girl right here. Yeah, and you run around, you level up, you find weapons. It's amazing. It's got perhaps the best voice acting I've ever seen in a game. It's got so many opportunities to creatively solve problems and do things and go about your business that after I had played through the first chapter, there's 3 chapters, they're pretty long. After I had played through the first chapter like 15 times, I thought I had seen everything. I hadn't even gone left. But yeah, just really wonderful. You know, because you hear like, oh, there's choices in an RPG, and then it's often like, okay, am I on that side or this side, you know, but often it ends up being the same. Luca, sit down, I'm sorry. I just wanted to give you a little pat on the head. I forgot you were going to fly around everywhere. Yes. Alright, now that you're sitting, Luca, we can reposition you in time for the dance party. Bella's in the way again. You familiar with the systems of D&D, but not the fighting aspect? Yeah, it's amazingly done. It's, you know, it's a turn-based grid system. You know, and you zoom the camera out. The game gives you options to like. So like, you know, in D&D, if you're playing like on a table, you don't know like that monster has 12 armor points and, you know, 7 health left or whatever. But the game has that on there. You can turn it off, and you can be like, all right, you know, the same sort of thing. Where, okay, I want to persuade this person to let me in. The game will tell you what you have to get as a check, and you can save it and reload until you get it if you want. Or you can make a setting where you don't even know how hard it is to pass a check. You know, like if you were really in it, you know. I'm going to try to threaten them. Maybe they're a coward and you could pass with a 5, you know, but maybe not. But yeah, you just jump into the world and you are flung into it, and then you meet people, you form your friendships with them, and you form your party, and then you just jump to it. Now that I'm talking about it, I really want to start doing these videos. I think it could be fun for me. It'll probably take me like 2 hours to get out of the tutorial, because I'll be talking about every little thing. But there we go. Garuda's had some seeds. Hasn't he? We need to go get some more. We've been giving him seeds, I think, but, you know. We don't have any in that box, and they should be there on account of how we have so many. Garuda, are you upstairs again? He's always looking out of the window to see if there's, like an opponent. If an enemy is out there. But no, it's maybe the coolest game I've ever played. It's exhilarating how much choice you have. Where if you just want to say, I don't think I want to fight these people, how many opportunities you have to not have to fight people. Sometimes you gotta fight. But sometimes there's 18 different ways to make that happen. And, like, I'll talk to people, like folks at work or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, how did you do this? And they just describe a technique that I never would have dreamed of in a million years, you know? But that's just about that for this video. Day 610. It's been a nice 10-day anniversary or celebration video. But I invite you all to stand for the national anthem, Pig Step by Lena Ren. Sit, stand, or kneel, as you prefer. I'll sit. But yeah, Sid, I definitely recommend Baldur's Gate 3. It is, I think, the finest RPG that I've played. It's not my favorite game because, you know, the way that the past plays on our emotions is what it is. But when I played it, I thought it was the coolest game I've ever played, and sort of like the realization of the gaming dream. Like every single thing that you dreamed of as a little kid could be in a turn-based RPG, and they nailed it. Amazing voice acting, super deep character development, faith, betrayal, miracles, true love. That's a speech from The Princess Bride, with some of the words mixed around. No, Baldur's Gate 3, an absolute masterpiece, and I think I should start making videos for it. That could be fun. But you shouldn't watch them. You should play it. You shouldn't learn anything from me. You should play it. I'm the worst YouTuber ever. I tell people not to watch me. But of course, I might never make the videos. You know how my work ethic is. Questionable. You know, I don't know if Lena Rain plays shows, but I bet if you got a bunch of 20-year-olds together and put on some Minecraft music, you could have an absolute catastrophic mosh pit going on. They would put me and my hardcore kid friends to shame with how they would get down. If your Mac lets you play it, I believe it is back on Mac for like a long time. Well, it was always on Mac. I mean, I don't know if it would work on your specific one, but they removed the crossplay. So like my friend, the one I'm always talking about who doesn't read, he was playing on Mac. Now he knows I'm talking about him. Now he knows I only have one friend who won't read. I'm just playing. You know, it's easy to live 600 days in Minecraft when you spend a lot of them just looking out the window. But I think a lot of people fail to look out the window enough, you know? 'Cause it's so terribly hot out. But the dog, you know, earlier, he didn't want to come inside anyway. He wanted me to go over and rub his belly in the sun, so I did. And then I was like, you know, don't do that enough. He's just an old man. And how many more times will you have to look at a beautiful sunrise in Minecraft, after all? And so I like to angle the camera just so the blocks disappear, so we get a slightly better shot of it. That's my idea of a good angle. And the sun rises on another beautiful day. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Sid, it's been so good to hang out with you. Thanks for making it to the party. And for chatting afterward. You know, it's always good to see you. Hope you've been well. Hope you continue to be. And couldn't recommend Baldur's Gate 3 anymore. Might actually record a video of it today. You know, stranger things have happened, and I do think I have a lot to say about it. There's a lot of really interesting, like, social, cultural, historical factors that are at play with the characters in Baldur's Gate, and I feel like, you know, they did that really well, and I might have something to say about it. So maybe, you know, I'll do shorter videos where I can organize my thoughts better, maybe. Anyway, that Enderman is stealing something. I'm going to allow it, but don't let me catch him outside tomorrow. He better not. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. Bye, Sid. If you're watching in the future, everyone, well, I hope the weather is nice, and perhaps I'll see you in another stream or video. Au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, farewell, goodbye.